No, you did not miss stamDK. I actually just started streaming. So I was testing out, just testing out magsorcs for right now. Ooh, that was weird. Okay, let's stop that. Yeah, I'm doing stamDK after I do magsorc. I might need to shift some gear around, move to like a template to get a couple of crafted stuff up. Just because I have a couple of gear options I want to try out, but I don't think I have all the pieces I need on my stamDK right now. So I'll have to like move stuff around. Plus I got to make jewelry for mechanical acuity, so I'll have to like shift things from character to character. Let's try this again and hopefully I won't get any lag. Damn, no crystal frag procs. That's gonna hurt my sustain. God. RNG of the crystal frag procs today are just terrible. I don't know if they give you Ravager on a template tune. I haven't checked yet. I just logged in, so when I log over to a template tune, I can check. Because I actually don't know if Ravager is a PvP set or not. Ugh, that was gross. I am using 2-piece Lambris, 5-piece Julianos, and 5-piece Acuity. I have an Inferno mechanical acuity front bar and a Maelstrom lightning staff back bar with weapon damage enchant. So I'm just trying out acuity compared to Asylum just to see what the difference is between Asylum. I only have a perfected lightning, and I forgot to move a perfected Inferno from a template here, so I'll probably do that at some point. But yeah, I don't know if that was just because of like bad luck with crystal frag procs, because I only got 12. I kind of want to do another one to see if it was because I had like 2 full front bar rotations without any frag procs, which kind of sucks. And I think that's one reason why the sustain was pretty bad. Yeah, I haven't tested the Asylum Staff yet, because there are the two things that I want to try out with Asylum is doing 3 willpower with Alambra, so basically like the standard setup that you have on your magsorc right now. And then I also want to try, with the Asylum Staff, 5 Acuity and 5 Julianos or something like that. Um, just to see if the Acuity will, like, outdo Lambris or something. That's kind of what I want to do next. But I just want to double check to make sure that like this parse wasn't screwed up because of like crystal frag procs or anything like that. Because I did one earlier, and that was around the same, like 37-ish. I'm wondering if I can hit 30. If I hit 37 again, then that's probably good enough to like say that like this is probably what I'm gonna hit with this build. Another thing too is I have Aegis on the back bar, but I'm not sure if you're gonna want that. This is just because I don't have that Psijic skill line that gives us minor force. I actually probably wouldn't be staying with double Aegis, just because there is that Psijic skill line that gives you minor force, which uses Magicka, and that's actually probably what I would use instead of Aegis on the back bar. But because they don't give us that on template tunes, I'm just sticking with double Aegis for right now. It does seem like 37 is what I'm hitting here. Yeah, so 37 is what I seem to be hitting. Yeah. Light attacks are still really strong. They're probably going to nerf it probably week 3. So not this coming Monday, but the next Monday, because the way the PTS works is the second week of the PTS is normally just like small bug changes, and the actual balance changes come on the third week of the PTS. So I'm expecting this light attack nonsense to keep on going through the next week or so. I got a little bit more frag procs that time, so let's try the Asylum set. Now I don't think this is going to be this isn't going to be an exact one-to-one because it's a perfected lightning instead of perfected inferno. But we'll make do with that. So I am throwing the Atronach down over there because if I throw it in front of me, when it despawns, it actually acts as a entity, so I won't actually be able to target the dummy. It's a weird little quirk of the Storm Atronach. So whenever you use the Storm Atronach in raids and in parses, you're generally going to want to make sure that it lands in the melee group, but not like in front of the melee group. So if you kind of think of it as like here's the boss and here's the melee group, you want to put the Atronac kind of like over here, like over to the side of the melee groups, but not like directly in front of the melee group, because if once your Atronac like despawns, the melee group actually can't target the boss anymore. So just want to be mindful of that. So now let's see if out of combat. Yes, let's see if the asylum. So this is the typical. This is actually like pretty much like what I am running right now in my magsorc non-pet build. The only difference is obviously the willpower is bloodthirsty instead of arcane, but it's still 5-piece Julianos, 2-piece Lambris, 511 perfected asylum front bar. Obviously, if you don't have perfected, you can just run the plain asylum. So this is kind of going to be seeing whether or not the perfected asylum is going to be better than the 5 acuity, 5 Julianos that I had before. Let me see if I have a... I might have an asylum staff that's... Okay, I don't think I have an asylum staff, like a plain asylum staff, so I'll have to grab that from a template and kind of show you guys, because obviously like not everybody's going to have the perfected staff like I do, so I just... a more accurate comparison that I should be doing is actually just the normal, like non-perfect asylum staff. Just because the perfected one is obviously a lot more difficult to obtain. So that's probably what I should be doing instead of using a perfected one. So I'll probably grab that once I do this parse off a template. I think the asylum might win out, but I guess we'll have to see. On live, Doonhilla, the perfected asylum is gonna win out over a 4-piece Moon Dancer. But the normal asylum, they pull pretty much neck and neck. But the asylum staff, just because it procs concussed and burning at pretty much really high rate, even the non-perfect asylum staff is pretty strong for group utility. It's hard to say exactly, like percentage-wise, just because, at least for our magsorc, it's kind of RNG dependent based on like your crystal frag procs. Like right now I'm getting a bunch of them, but sometimes you'll get like none. But generally speaking, when I got my perfected staff and started using that, I got like another like 2 or 3k above when I was using a 4-piece Moon Dancer. So probably like around like I would say probably like 3-4% better. Like it's definitely noticeable. And now that we're below 25 with the 3 bloodthirsty, this thing's just gonna melt. Yeah, like that was almost a 40k parse right there. That's 39.6. Yeah, so I got 17 frag procs there, and I got 15 here. So it can't be due to the frag procs. At least I don't think so. Although I only got, see, I got 13 off here, and I got 17 off here. So it's actually 4 extra frag procs here. So it does look like at least the perfected asylum still seems to be winning out compared to 5 Julie, 5 acuity. But this is a perfected staff, so should probably grab a non-perfected staff for a more accurate comparison. Oops, damn it! Now I can't log off. Yeah, so I don't think that's a fair comparison to make, because the perfected asylum staff is just so hard to get. You either have to like score really high on the AS leaderboard, and at least on PCNA when it was on the leaderboard, you had to get like 32k, 33k, which is pretty much like you had to do a +1 and still have vitality left over. So I'm just gonna grab a non-perfect staff from a template. Yeah, so like a perfect, like I don't think that was a fair comparison, at least for the average magsorcs that's doing vet trials. So I'll do a more even one. It should be under here. So let's do normal asylum. Destro. Infused Inferno, so it's actually like a 1-to-1 comparison to the VMA staff, and then I'll just enchant it real quick. Yeah, can get you pretty bad on the RNG there if you didn't get any destros at all. Okay, there we go. Let's try that now. Changes in scaling but nerf to heavies. How do I think heavy attack builds will be? I think heavy attack builds will still be around just because they're very easy and sustain is very good, and magsorc sustain is typically their weakest point. Just because force pulse is fairly expensive and they don't have something like siphoning attacks like Nightblades do. But I still think heavy attacks will be around. If they manage to fix things, I think heavy attack builds will actually still be pretty strong. I don't think they'll necessarily be as strong as the like a spammable build, but it'll definitely come very close. But I haven't run heavy attack builds in a very long time. This will be a more accurate comparison to that Inferno acuity parse that I did. So the metric to beat for this one is going to be 37k. So I think we'll see whether we can beat it or not. Oh, you got a perfected bow. That sucks. I've heard that like the Asylum's bow actually isn't terrible for like PvP snipe build, but you have to kind of get in close to get the acid spray. So I feel like the whole point behind a sniper build is that you can get them from like 30 meters away. But I kind of feel your RNG pain because the second clear of hard mode I don't think we had any destruction staffs except for an ice staff. So that was painful for us. Yeah, force pulse builds definitely have pretty bad sustain. Although, like, if you're doing a rotation like me, where you're basically like doing a heavy attack every like second time you're on your back bar, it's not terrible. Obviously, you're going to be eating a little bit of a DPS loss, but to me, it's worth the DPS loss if it means I can keep up my resources. Sustain a VMA dual wield rotation on a stamDK. That's actually something that I was thinking about trying out. The only issue is you only really have time for, if you're thinking about like a heavy attack rotation, you have time for maybe like, if you're really pushing it, you can do like 4 heavy attacks on your front bar on a stamDK. But it's going to be dependent on whether you have a standard to throw down or anything like that. If you have a standard and you have to, and you're using like Flames of Oblivion instead of Vigor, you're probably only really going to be able to get, balls, missed the proc. You'll probably only be able to get like 3 max. Kind of like some weird lag issues here. Yeah, so I'm not sure, because I'm just thinking about how it would work, because you would basically have to do Flurry before your Venomous Claws, before Rending Slashes, and before you bar swap to your bow bars so your Poison Injection can get the buff. And so if you want a heavy attack between your Flurry and the ability that you want to use, I actually don't know if you have enough time to do that. Okay, there we go. So that was 37.8, and that was with a little bit of like funky, like delay bar swap stuff. So it's pretty close. So 5 Julie, 5 Acuity is pretty close to Asylum, 3 Willpower. At least with my rotation, depending on whether you're using something like a Liquid Lightning front bar, or you swap out Curse and Mage's Wrath because you kind of want you want to stick on 1 bar for Execute. That might change the numbers a little bit, but it seems like you still want Asylum Staff. It seems like it's doing okay. I mean, 5 Julie, 5 Acuity was beating that out, or it's at the very least matching it. It's within margin of error. So I would say the Asylum is still good, but I can't say that I'm the best magsorc. There have been plenty of other magsorcs out there that have been doing some testing. I haven't asked for their builds, but I would say that like Asylum, keep it for now. I don't think it's decon material just yet. Not just because of your personal DPS, but also because of the burning and concuss that it also procs. That's going to be helpful for your group DPS. Because if you take a look at minor vulnerability here, we have 58 on a solo parse, so having that Asylum is going to help out your group DPS just by pumping up your minor vulnerability uptime. Light attack rotation on the stamDK. I'm not 100% sure. That's going to be, because stamDK, I don't think any stam build, at least right now, can maintain a full light attack rotation except for the Nightblade with Dubious. I can definitely try today. I can try Dubious on a stamDK and make up that health somewhere, and see if we can basically maintain a light attack rotation on a stamDK, but I don't think we'll be able to, just because we don't have Leeching Strikes. And that's kind of the big reason why Stam Nightblades are able to sustain a full light attack rotation. Light attack buff and dual lightning stays would Netch be good? Probably. So you're thinking like Julie and Netch, right? And then you just have then you have 2 lightning stays. And would you be doing a spam bull, or would you be doing like a heavy attack build? Because if you're doing a spam bull, Netch would probably be pretty decent. I'm not sure how it would compare to Acuity. It probably wouldn't be as good as Acuity, and it probably won't beat out the Perfected Asylum, of course. But it's definitely like Netch and Julie is a good option if you're going dual lightning. Even if it's a heavy attack build, I think it'll still be a very powerful combination. Guild preparation videos. So, okay, so like what you would want in like as a group for vet runs and speed runs thing. Yeah, I can do something like that. I can tell you guys what I do for Hellfire's progression runs, and when I run the occasional vet trial on Hellfire. Because we kind of have like 3 different tiers in Hellfire. We have like an initiate run, which is more of like training runs, which are usually crags, and then we have like vet runs, which are like hard mode crags and like VMAW. Then we have progression, which right now we're going through VHOF, and all 3 of them have kind of different approaches, and different. At least I have different approaches to all 3. But yeah, I can definitely share with you guys what I do there. So now I kind of want to see what happens if we drop Lambris, and instead of going through willpower, we do acuity. So I don't think I have everything I need for that. Yeah, I don't have everything I need for that. I have the acuity jewelry, so I would have to go craft acuity head and shoulders, it seems. So I'll try that out. And then let's go on a template, because I know a template can make it. Like what classes? You mean like stam mage, or are you talking like specific classes? Like I want 2 stamDKs and a stam nightblade or something like that. Because I can do both really. And every guild's going to be a little bit different. Like MC will run 6 stam and 2 magicka, but a lot of guilds, Mayflower and Hellfire, we both prefer 4/4. So 4 stam, 4 mag. Doesn't really matter what I use. Then I think I need a heavy helm. Yeah, I can do something like that. Specifics. Again, this is like what I would be giving you guys is not only what we would be doing, but also like it's fairly optimized. Yeah, like it would just be like my opinion. You know, for the best optimized group for people who want to progress through certain things. Because like MC does, at least for right now, I think they do stamDK, stamPlar, stamsorc, 3 nightblades, stam nightblades, a magsorc, and a mag nightblade. Like that's MC, but like mechanically challenged has like incredibly high buff and debuff uptimes, so they're not what I would say a good resource to turn to in terms of raid composition. And I know they vary that too based on each specific trial, which is also something you want to consider too. Each trial might have a different composition. Right now I'm going to try losing Lambris for acuity. Where's health? So I'm not 100% sure if I want to lose Lambris or if I want to lose Asylum, because it seems like the Asylum is pretty strong. I don't feel like I want to lose that. I want magicka. Then helm is health. Yeah, because the strength of the Asylum staff isn't just the single target DPS it gives you. It's also the concuss, the minor vulnerability uptime. So that's one of the main reasons why I think the Asylum might still be good for a lot of progression groups. A lot of groups now are having the healers run Infallible Aether for minor vulnerability uptime. But that's basically you're giving up something like Worm, or you're giving up something like Mending. So it might not be best for every single group. So I just want to see if we ran acuity, if that would outweigh the loss of the Lambris. Lock stuff up here. So we're still doing 5 jewelry, but now we're doing, once I replace these jewelries, we're doing a 5 acuity. So it's 5 jewelry, 5 acuity, and then Asylum. So we'll see if that works out at all. So the metric to beat is around 37.5. I think it was 37.8, but we'll say 37.5. I think 5-piece Moondancer could be an option in Summerset. Yes, I do think 5-piece Moondancer will make a comeback in Summerset. A lot of people don't like Moondancer. I'm kind of on the fence with Moondancer, just because sometimes, like sustain isn't necessarily that hard if you spec for it, if you kind of take that in consideration when you make your build. And then, you know, if you manage to get the regen proc when you have like 80% magicka, you don't really need the regen anymore, so that's kind of like a wasted proc. So at that point, you're just trying to, you know, you're fishing for another synergy so you can get another chance at the spell damage synergy. So I think Moondancer can be strong, but you know, you're still kind of reliant on that RNG giving you the proc that you need at that moment. So that's probably one reason why I think Julie Mechanical Acuity will end up being like the default for a lot of builds. Because at the very least, if you have Acuity and Julie, you know, that's a very strong combination. You're not necessarily relying on an RNG proc. So I would like to see Moondancer be at least somewhat usable. But again, that Julie Acuity combo is just so strong. It's hard to justify having somebody farm like Maw, even if it's on normal. If you can just get two crafted sets together instead. Again, that's just my opinion, and I haven't tested it at all, so, you know, Moondancer could actually, you know, be pulling significantly higher than, like, Acuity Julie. I don't think it does, but it could, because you don't have the Minor Slayer when you're running Julie Acuity, obviously. Just looking at like the live update for combat metrics, it doesn't seem like giving up Lambris is worth it. I guess we'll find out. The other thing too with Moondancer, at least on a ranged magicka DPS, is you kind of have to consider your access to synergies. So like, if you're a magsorc, you know, your only real synergies are going to be coming from orbs. So you would probably want to do it on a melee magplar, just because that way you'll be able to get the conduit synergy from magsorcs. So at least that's an extra synergy that you could potentially hit. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like giving up Lambris is worth it. Yeah, because did 35.8. That's a full 2k lower. So even if we took away some of that lag issue, it still probably wouldn't beat out Lambris. So seems like if you're gonna go with Asylum, you might as well just stick with the 2-piece Monster Helm, so Lambris or Scoria, and then 3-piece Willpower. Doesn't seem like it's worth giving up that Monster Helm. Yeah, I've been meaning to test it. A lot of my friends have just been busy, so hopefully over the weekend somebody can pop in and help me out. Also, some of my friends are a lot better at some other classes, so I might ask them to help me out there. Just because, like, I'm not that great on a stamPlar, but I know somebody who really is, so I can have them help me out. So now we've done enough. I think we've done enough on terms of non-pets, and now let's swap over to an actual pet build. So Necropotent's definitely got a nice buff, at least indirectly, because now with the differences in light attack scaling, it's pretty strong. Let's Cauldron Mask. Then let's start things off since I have the Acuity Jewelry. We'll start off with Acuity first. That's an Inferno Staff, and then I have to just swap these out. So they did change how the Familiar works, I think. I believe you still have to double bar it. So I know they said they changed how it works. But it doesn't, just like looking at the tooltip, doesn't seem like it's actually doing anything different. And it still has the pet pulse. So I don't know. Maybe they were just like rewording it or something. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's doing anything different. And I'm pretty sure you still have to double bar it. Yeah, you still have to double bar it. It's only bound ages you don't have to double bar anymore. Oh, I should probably keep you unsummoned until I get my ulti up. So I am using Haunting Curse here, so that's just something to keep in mind. I'm not using Daedric Prey, so that is going to be a DPS loss for me, but just makes it easier to swap between pet and non-pet tests. Okay. Viable new healers to use 2 monster set pieces. Probably in some fights, probably not all fights. The big problem is what monster home sets are you going to be using, right? Because there aren't that many, at least from a like vet trial perspective. There's not that many that I can think of that are particularly useful in terms of like healing performance. You have Earthgore, maybe Bogdan's. So, you know, you're kind of limiting yourself a little bit. Now, you could use something a little bit more unorthodox. You could do something like Bloodspawn or Lord Warden. That frees up your tank to wear something else. But I do think Monster Helms can be a good option for healers in certain content. At least I know a couple of healers are kind of collecting Monster Helm pieces right now. Oh, another thing to point out too is that I'm really rusty on my pet build because I normally run non-pet when I run Sorc. I'm pretty anti-pet pet Sorc, so I pretty much run exclusively non-pet builds. So there we go. That is, what was that? 5 Julie, 5 Acuity, 2 Lambris, with a pet build. So around 40k on a 6 mil dummy. Sustain was a little bit worse. At least I felt like it was a little bit worse compared to non-pet. But again, that might just be due to my relative rustiness on a pet build, because I don't normally run pets when I play my Sorc. You can see here light attacks are still doing a stupid amount of damage. It's 22.5% of our damage. It's a silly amount of damage right now, so hopefully they'll fix that. Probably nerf light attack by like maybe 40% or something. So yeah, that's the pet. Pet pulse is still pretty strong. Okay, so that was the acuity. So let's see if we're running the asylum staff, if we can break that 40. I don't think we can, but we're still gonna try. So we'll try the 3 willpower, 5 necro, 2 Lambris, and the normal plain Asylum's Inferno. So we won't try out the Perfected, because I know the Perfected is going to probably end up pulling higher. And then let's desummon our pet here so he doesn't leash to the wrong enemy when we start our parse. So yeah, for comparison's sake, as to my current live best parses, I'm beating my best parses on a Sorc by about 5K or so, compared to what I am currently pulling on live. My best parse on a non-pet Sorc on live right now is around like 33.5K, and my best parse on a pet Sorc I think is around like 35. So we're beating it comfortably by about 4 or 5K for each Sorc category there. So the light attack buff is probably what's driving it, that and Bloodthirsty. So the question is, when they eventually nerf light attacks, and they're probably going to rebalance Bloodthirsty as well, I think they're going to bring down the damage increase to 15%, so it would be 45% instead of 60%. Which I think is a fair nerf, because I think Bloodthirsty is currently overperforming right now, at least by a little bit. If you guys saw my previous PTS stream, we tried out like Bloodthirsty versus Infuse, and Infuse was pulling like 2K less, so it's not overperforming by a huge amount, but I still think it's Bloodthirsty is overperforming by too much. Ideally, you would want Infuse to be about the same as Bloodthirsty, not like a 2K difference. So I think after this I will swap over to my stamDK. I will probably have to move some gear around, just because I don't think I have all the gear I need on my stamDK. The first thing I'm going to want to try on my stamDK is probably something like Twice Fang Snake and probably VO. Just because we did lose Sunder and Night Mother's Gaze. So it does seem like the Asylum is not doing quite as well on the pet build, which is a little interesting. So it's 38k compared to almost 40k. Let me just check Crystal Frag procs just to see if it's not that. So we got 14 here, we got 12 here, so it's not that. So it does seem like on a pet build at least the Acuity Julie is better. My thinking is it's boosting the pulse here more than you're getting from burning. So let's take a look here for my. So we're gaining 300-ish here, but we're gaining, looks like 200 DPS. Yeah, where's burning? Burning. So we're gaining 200 from here, gaining 300 from here. I think we're also losing a lot of DPS potentially from the willpower. So we got 6k, 4.6k, 5.7, 4.3. So we're losing like about 300 on over here just from the Acuity. Losing out on the Acuity. If you take a look here at our, we had pretty bad RNG here. It seems like we had 35% crit rate, and our spell crit is around 44. So that's pretty bad RNG. But you can argue that we had some pretty bad RNG here too, because our average is 76 here. But I guess that's with the Acuity. So if you're running a pet build, stick with Julie Acuity, it seems. Julie Acuity seems to be a pretty strong combo. It's kind of what we anticipated being Julie Acuity. So yes, they did increase the flame damage component of Sunder by a good amount. So I think I am running. I think I can run Sunder VO right now. Actually, no. I have to get weapons. I have to get Sunder Flame weapons from a template. But I do want to see whether that. So they basically increased the damage component from Sunder from like 500 to 4,000 or something like that, or like 800 to 4,000. So it's like a 5 times increase. So I'm wondering if that actually makes a difference. I don't think it will. I think it's still gonna suck, but who knows. But yeah, so for stamDK, what I want to try is two-fanged. Let me see if I have. Yeah, so I do have two-fanged on this tune. So I'll put two-fanged in here. So we have two-fanged body pieces. And then Acuity, so we'll have to do Acuity weapons. So we want to do axe and sword for Acuity. Fused axe and Nern sword. That was Necro on the pet builds. That was 5 Necro, 5 Necro, and 5 Acuity was what did the 40k. And then the imperfect Asylum staff. So the normal Asylum staff would be like was around 38. Should twice Fang Sunder and some points in pen or lever bring stand back up to pen cap? Yes. So we already kind of did the math. And if you have Torg's Infused Crusher and Alkosh, and you have your major minor buffs, so major minor fracture, you will be sitting at oh, I don't want clothing. You'll be sitting at around 16,750, I think, with twice Fang, and it'll be a little bit lower. It'll be a little bit lower if you're using Lover instead, so you can use like something like War Machine or something. I just gotta. I just have to get some more jewelry crafting stuff. There we go. We'll keep on doing Bloodthirsty. So Sunder Flame, for those of you guys who haven't read the patch notes yet, Sunder Flame was nerfed. Sunder Flame no longer gives 3440 penetration, physical penetration. It now gives minor fracture and minor breach, which gives you only 1320. So basically, the kind of thinking right now is you either going to have like a stamDK or a stamsorc running Sunder, or you have a stamplar, because stamplars have power of light, which also gives you minor breach, minor fracture. So kind of where that tipping point is going to be is whether or not your stamDK or stamsorc running Sunder Flame is able to pull higher than a Stamplar running Power of the Light. And that's going to be different for each group. Some Stamplars in groups are going to be able to pull very good DPS, and in other groups their Stamplars aren't going to be quite as good. But their stamDKs are going to be very good. So, you know, you kind of have to balance that out. And you want weapon damage glyphs. So that's kind of what the consensus is right now. This is of course assuming that they don't revert anything on stamDK, or not stamDKs, on Sunderflame. Who knows? They might change it. I'm not 100% sure. But I think the changes to Nightmother's Gaze and Sunderflame are pretty much they're going to be here to stay, I think. I don't see them making any changes to them anytime soon. Do that, and then we do Poison Glyph. Then, let's see, this is infused, so we want the weapon damage, poison. And then, let me see what Ravager. So I know Ravager is a heavy set. It's not here. I don't think it's a dungeon set. I don't think. Let me check Overland set. Might be an Overland set. Not here because this is all. Is it a Telvar set? No, it's not a Telvar set either. So I will have to figure out. I'll have to figure out where to get Ravager. It's probably. I'd have to like go out to like Bruma or something and buy it using AP. So we won't be able to test Ravager today unless you guys want to see me ride from Ebonheart base all the way to like Bruma or something. So I'll do that test some other time, but I will remember to test out Ravager on a DK. Did I already? Oh, I'm on withdraw. Okay, yeah, so alright, so it is a PvP set, so let me just look real quick. This Vanguard, Coward, Night Slayer, Wizard, Riposte, Impreg. The other potential one is Telvar. They don't actually give you access to the Cyrodiil sets, so that's kind of the issue. So when I wanted to get Elfbane, I actually had to go all the way out to Velas, flip the flags because I was on an EP tune and it was controlled by AD. So I'll do that at some point, but I don't think you guys want to see me ride through Cyrodiil just to buy Ravager things. So let me see. I want to do Twice Fang and Acuity, and I have Sunder, so I need to get Sunder weapons out. Sunder Flame here. And weapons. Then we want to do Dagger X. And I do think I need to transmute, yes. Yeah. Sorry guys, yeah, you could complain to Zos that they didn't give us Cyrodiil sets on templates. I guess their thinking is, well, we give you like 10 million AP, you can just ride out and get it yourself, which is stupid. I don't want to go into Cyrodiil just to get like one set. Okay, then... Ugh! Stupid little lip. Upgrade our Sunder Dagger and Axe, and then enchant. So you can see here that they did buff it, so it now does 5,000 flame damage, and it only inflicts minor fracture, minor breach. poison and weapon damage, and then we will swap over to stamDK and test those out. And if we have any sort of combinations that we think of along the way, I can just swap back here. This is infused, so we want this. Alright, so that should be good. Pretty sure we have everything we need now. I think I have. Do I have VO stuff? I'll put 2 VO stuff in here just in case. Because I'm not sure if I have like 2 VO wet armor on my stamDK. I think I keep those on my stab Nightblade normally. I still think Sunder will potentially be useful, but I mean it's hard to say. I think I have. Yeah, I already have Vicious Fitting here, so I'll just do that. Okay, so now we can finally get started on stamDKs. So, a couple of things I'm going to test. First, I'm going to test the Sunder VO setup that you normally run on the stamDK. So that would be 5-piece Sunder Flame with your Sunder Flame Axe and Dagger on your dual wield bar, obviously, with the Maelstrom Bow and everything like that. And then we'll have VO on that, so it would be Sunder VO, so pretty much your standard setup, which you have on live. And then we'll do Acuity and Twice Fang. And we will swap over to the Lover, I think. And I do believe I'm currently on a tank spec on this, so I'll have to respec real quick. Let me just see if okay. I just have to respec all this. Alright, so what do I currently have? Nope, I don't want fire. I want you. We want Axe of Acuity, Sunder, Sword of Acuity, Two Fang, Vicious, Two Fang, Vicious, Two Fang. I think that's everything I need. Yeah. Okay. So we'll do Sunder first. Then where's my bow? Maelstrom Bow. Then we have. Oh, I'm using Robust right now. I will have to swap out the enchant on the jewel to the jewelry here, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, because I do want to test Bloodthirsty on the jewelry, so I'll do that real quick. Now we'll set up everything else though while we're here. So we want Sunder, let's say guards, belts, jacks, and then I had VO, bracers, and boots. And then I have belly. I just have to transmute the thing, the jewelry. Oh, I think okay, yeah, I might have put them on the wrong hands. I'll flip that around. Oh, don't want Nern honed on the offhand. That would not make for a good parse. Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know, you will always want Nern on your main hand because your offhand doesn't get the full increase to damage. So you always want to have it on your offhand. One of these necklaces is not like the others. And then I have a lot of rings of Vicious Ophidian. That one. And I need 4 transmute crystals. this one's also going to be bloodthirsty. Alright, so now we're ready to finally start testing, I think. Sorry for the wait, guys. This is kind of not a necessarily impromptu stream, but I didn't really prepare for it. Just thought I'd just go straight in. Okay, there we go. Let's get our rings. So this is, again, what you would normally wear on a stamDK. Then you have to swap these weapons around, you said, so there we go. Just want to make sure I'm also running the warrior. Yeah. And then I have to set up my bars too. Curses. Then dual wields. Rending. Deadly. Fighters Guild. Rearming. We have flawless. We have back bar. Endless. Poison injection. Flames of Oblivion. Then we have Caltrops. What do I have here? Molten. Molten. Then standard. And then I think I also have to put my poisons on. Poisons. No, I can't swap because I'm in combat, that's right. There we go. So now we have everything set in place. Now I just have to get our ultimate up so we can open with an ulti. Oh, and then use appropriate food. So you can see already 30k stam, that hurts. That hurts me. That hurts so much, the fact that we have 30k stam because we're using bloodthirsty instead of robust. Alright, there we go. Just have to wait to get out of combat and then we can start to parse. So again, this is the normal setup that we normally have. So this is the setup I normally run, which is 2-piece Valdreths, 5-piece Sunder with Sunder weapons if I had them, and then Vicious Ophidian as your jewelry and 2 body pieces. And we're sticking with 3 Bloodthirsty because that seems to be working the best. And then Nern, Maelstrom with a double Ravage Health Poison. And we're using the Warrior Mundus. CP? I think my CP should still be good. But good on that. Yeah, my CP is still set up correctly, but I do have 5 extra, so I'll just do this. I have 10 extra CP. So that hits the 2 jump points there. But we'll see what Constellations tells me after we finish this parse, and I can do it again, because I don't think I optimized my CP for this, for my stamDK yet. So it does seem like we're already pulling much lower than we normally do. On the live update, we're only pulling around 34 right now, which is not terrible, but it's also much lower than I think we normally do. I think I missed that poison injection. So we're reaching the point where Bloodthirst is going to start kicking in now. So we'll see how much of a boost we'll get from that. My second trap went down, so let's pop this up real quick. Alright, so if we got 38.6, so that's actually more or less what I'm already pulling on live. I'm like pulling around 38.5, 38.4 on live. It's actually not that bad. And what I'm interested in seeing is Thunder Flame is still pretty crap. Yeah, it's still kind of crappy crap. Endless Hail, yeah. Light attacks are getting better. For some reason, I felt like I could sustain 2 heavy attacks better than on live, which is a little weird. Because normally I do 3 on my front, because I'm a Dark Elf. Oh, I have 17. Oh, I must have. Oh, I must still have a health enchant on my belly glyph. That was just because we were progressing through VHoF, and I wanted that extra health. I'll change that, but that shouldn't really affect the parts too much. A health glyph versus a stam glyph on a small piece isn't really going to affect it too much. And yeah, that's kind of the beauty of Bloodthirsty. It's also why we think it's a little bit overpowered, because now execute phase is just going to like completely fly by, which pretty much trivializes things like VHoF and the major on hard mode and things like that. So let me see here. I'm still running the old version of Combat Metrics because the new one's still bugging out on me. So we can see here we have Minor Fracture, Minor Breach now. Sunder Flame is doing better, but it's still kind of poo in terms of DPS contribution. I mean, our poisons are still doing better DPS than our Sunder Flame is. So that's not terribly impressive. But let's see, 5280, 100, 1320. Then how many CP am I running right now? 2466. I don't know if we have that. Oops. Yeah, so actually I'd be underpenning. If in a raid scenario, I'd actually be underpenning by about, looks like about 3k or so, 3.3k. So I'm going to. What happens if I swap to the Lover? If I add in the Lover and take some points out of Piercing. Let's try that. Here it is, Lover. So one thing that people have been kind of debating back and forth on some Discords is whether people are going to be running Lover or Twice Fang instead. And there's kind of merits for both. And this is mainly around like Stam Nightblades and Stamplars. Not so much for stamDKs. Let me just I'm just going to do some quick math here. So that, I think I need to take out 10 points here. So this would put me down to, let's see, 1642. I can actually take out one more point here. Let's do, will it let me do a combat metrics import? Oh, I need to update combat metrics too. Okay, so it won't let me do that. So let's just do, let's put you guys up to 66, 66. Let's put that one extra one here. Yeah, so yeah, I'm not testing with Twice Fang just because I want to see if there actually is a DPS loss between the new changes and the old changes. Like current setups, like the current setup right now would be to run 5 Sunder, 5 VO with Veli. And it seems like if you have Bloodthirsty at least on your jewels, you're not really losing any DPS compared to what you're pulling on live right now. At least on a dummy parse. I got 38.6 and that's around what I'm pulling right now on live. So now the question is, if I swap to the lover and drop a couple of points from piercing, is that going to make a difference? So now I'll be at pen cap. Because before I was not at the pen cap, I was like 3k short. And I know I will not be over the pen cap. I'm also considering like I have Infused Torx, Crusher, and Alkosh up. When I say I'm at pen cap, obviously I don't have them here, so I'm not at pen cap, but it'll be a more accurate representation of what I'm actually going to be able to do in a trial. So I think this parse will be a little bit better just because we're using a lover instead of the warrior. No, I'm just testing difference between warrior and lover on the current live best in slot for stamDKs. I think the conversation between Lover and Twice Fang Snake is going to be more limited to Nightblades and Templars, and I'll explain why once I'm done with this parse. I think I explained it a couple of days ago on my first stream, but I'll re-explain it to anybody who wasn't there for that. There we go. So that time we pulled 39.8. That was with the lover, so we did have some extra pen there. We had like 4k extra pen. So that might be making up for that difference there. So yeah, what I'm basically the conversation that a lot of people are having right now between the Lover and Twice Fang Snake is more focused in on Nightblades and Templars, and that's mainly because you always, ideally, you want to have Flawless Dawnbreaker on your front bar. That's where you're doing most of your damage. That's you get the 8% additional weapon damage from having Flawless plus that Fighter's Guild passive. If you are using Twice Fang Snake, you can't use Twice Fang Snake weapons, which is an issue, because you want to keep, obviously you want to keep that pen stack going. And so the alternative would be to run War Machine weapons on your front bar. However, if you're doing that, that means you're running In-Cap or Crescent Sweep on your front bar instead of in Flawless Dawnbreaker on your front bar. So you'd basically be double barring In-Cap or Crescent Sweeps, which could end up in a DPS loss. So the way to get around that would be to run the Lover instead, so that way you can run War Machine on your body and have something like Acuity as your weapons instead. That way you can keep Flawless Dawnbreaker on your front bar and keep In-Cap or Crescent Sweep on your back bar. And so that's kind of what a lot of people are debating right now, which one's better. I personally did better with Lover with Acuity front bar and having War Machine and keeping my Flawless Dawnbreaker on my front bar. But there was another Stam Nightblade that I was talking to who actually had the opposite finding, who did better with the Warrior using Twice Fang on the body and double barring Incapacitating Strike. So there's going to be a lot more testing going on, and it's still the first week, so there's probably going to be adjustments here and there. So that's kind of why the discussion between Lover and Twice Fang isn't really around DKs and Sorcs and Wardens, because actually no, Wardens you have to double bar bear, so it's not really an issue for Wardens either. So Sorcs and DKs, it's not really much of a conversation, just because you're not using War Machine on either of those classes. So you're always going to be able to have that Flawless Dawnbreaker on your front bar, because you don't need to have War Machine on your front bar anymore. How much pen does an optimal group provide? Currently on live, you can get Nightmother's Gaze, which is 2580, Sunderflame, which is 3440, Infused Torque's Crusher, which would be 2740, and an Alkosh, which is 3010. So if you take all that combined, that's around 12k, 13k penetration. In Summerset though, now you'll only be able to get minor Fracture, Minor Breach from either Sunderflame or your Stamplar, Alkosh 3010, and Infused Torque's Crusher, which is 2740. So we basically lost the 3440 from Sunderflame, and we lost the 2580 from Nightmother, so that's a combined loss of about 6k penetration. So now we have to make up that 6k penetration with points into piercing and either Lover or Twice Fang. And so if you're going to be using Twice Fang, I think it's 15 points into piercing you need to put in. And if for a fully optimized group, and if you are using the Lover, I think it's like 17 points. So you're gonna have to put points into piercing with this new patch, assuming they don't reverse any of the changes for Nightmothers or Sunderflame. I don't anticipate them swapping them back really. They might adjust maybe the damage for Sunderflame, but I don't think they're gonna revert either of them at all. So this is okay, so that was your typical setup, this time with the Lover instead of the Warrior, to kind of make up for the pen loss that we saw from the changes to Sunderflame and Nightmother's Gaze. So this is probably what we're going to end up seeing. So now let's go ahead and swap to what I think will end up being the better option here, which is going to be Twice Fang with Acuity. So this will let you use the Warrior now. Am I already wearing Acuity? No, I'm wearing... Oh, because I didn't take it out of the bank, probably. Ring of Mechanical Acuity. Necklace of Mechanical Acuity. And I'm pretty sure I took out the weapons. Yeah, I took out the weapons already. So now this is what I think is going to be the new best in slot for stamDKs. So we're going to test this out and see what happens. This is, so we're having Acuity on the front bar here. That's just to help control our proc here. And we have Twice Fang to make up for the penetration. Veladreth is still best in slot. Maelstrom Bow is still best in slot with double ravage health poisons. then I have to swap to the warrior instead of the lover, because in a fully optimized raid group, if I'm running the lover, I'll be overpenning by a pretty large margin. And then CP should still be like 17 or 16 points into piercing should be enough for a fully optimized raid group. So let's go ahead and try this out. So none of our skills are going to be changing. So what I'm interested in is, because stamDKs, all of our damage basically comes from dots. How strong is Acuity compared to something like a Nightblade, which has, you know, the bow proc, which does a crap ton of damage if you manage to time it right. Because now all of our dot hits are going to be crits, which is going to be pretty awesome. So we'll see how that plays out. Okay. So once we get out of combat, we'll see what... so again, this is what I think is going to end up being the next best in slot. So this is going to be running the warrior. We have 5 Twice Fang on our body here. Mechanical Acuity Jewelry, and then we have Axe and Sword of Acuity. Same thing, Nern, Poison on the main hand, Infused Weapon damage on the offhand. Do an Axe and Sword, because we might not want that extra crit from daggers. You could use Dagger Axe, it's kind of up to you, but generally speaking, Sword Axe is going to be a little bit better for Acuity. Then you have the Maelstrom Bow, Nern, with double Ravage Health Poisons, that's pretty much the same. And then 2-piece Valadrets. I have a heavy just because I like the additional health for this survivability. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this out. That was weird. We'll just roll with it. First thing I'm noticing is a big change in sustain because we lose out on that VO. Probably won't be as bad if you're like a red guard, but I'm a dark elf, so I really feel any sort of sustain changes. Part of the reason why I have to do a 3 heavy attack rotation on my stamDK. You can see here, this is mainly probably because of the loss due to not running in robust anymore, losing out on the VO, plus the fact that I'm a dark elf instead of a red guard. So it doesn't seem like I'll be able to do a 2 heavy attack rotation, at least as a dark elf. Probably still do a 2 heavy attack rotation if you're a red guard though. So now Bloodthirst is going to kick in and we're going to see a lot of damage taking now. Take our dots off. So that was 38.6, so that was actually about what we pulled with like the standard meta setup that we currently have. I think that might be because I'm a dark elf, so my sustain was kind of poo. So I'm going to do it again, and now that I know kind of what to expect, now that we've lost VO, and we'll see if I'm able to pull higher. I think I'll be able to pull higher. I think that was just because I wasn't anticipating that losses sustained due to losing robust. Losing robust was actually pretty big, because if you can see here, our max stam is no longer around like 34k, it's now like 30k. So swapping your robust for bloodthirsty is giving us losing like 4k stam or magicka. Again, if you're a red guard, you can probably still maintain a 2 heavy attack rotation with the loss to VO. But if you're anybody except the red guard, I don't think you'll be able to do it. I think you'll have to do 3 heavy attacks. You're alright, I could use Dawnbreaker on my front bar during execute for the resources. I'm just thinking like, in a raid, you might want to still be using DK standard because execute in a raid is going to be longer than on a dummy. But you can certainly use Dawnbreaker instead of standard. I have a little bit of stamina, so I'll just do 2 heavy attack real quick. Alright, so now we're in that stage where Bloodthirsty is going to kick in. So we had a little bit of a lag spike there at the end. I don't know how badly that would have affected the parse. But that was a little bit better, 39. I think mainly it's probably because I'm a Dark Elf, not a Red Guard. But so this was the Lover 5VO 5 Sunder that we had. And this is, oops, this is 2-fanged with 5 Acuity and, yeah, and Warrior. So I think it's just a loss in sustain from losing VO. I was really pushed for resources towards the end. So I do think a large part of that is because of my race. If I was a red guard, I probably wouldn't be seeing the same sort of problem. Yeah. And of course I can't use constellations to optimize my CPs or anything because I have to use an old version. So I do think twice 2-fanged or Spriggans is going to be the go-to now for stamDPS. I don't see, or using the Lover if you're doing a Nightblade or a Templar potentially. I think twice Fang and Acuity, twice Fang and Hundings, maybe VO, twice Fang VO. That'd probably be fine. VO would probably, you would lose the VO bonus on your back bar, which is the only bad thing. But I mean, it's fine. You still get the minor Slayer boost if you're running VO, Jewels at least. Try with Lover since I'm solo. I mean, I can try with the Lover. I don't like doing it because I know I wouldn't be running the Lover in an actual raid. But I can do the Lover to bring it a little bit more in line with what you would probably see in raid, like with the expected uptimes with Alkosh and things like that. Just get my CP back up. Alright, so let's try this again. Can we use Krogs instead of Veli? Yes, you can use Krog instead of Veli, and if you do that, then basically what you would do is you just basically take all the points out of piercing and you put them into your CP again. So actually, do I have a set of Krogs I can use? I actually do have a set of Krogs I can use if you guys want to see that. So what you would be doing is you'd be using Krogs, which gives you 1487 physical pen. And then you'd obviously be using the Warrior instead. So it would look like this. You have Krogs here. And if you want to do the math real quick, it's basically, if you assume 100% uptime on all of your debuffs, you would have, what's Krog, 1487, right? Yeah, 1487. And then you have twice Fang with 4300. You'd be sitting at just over pen. You'd be sitting at 18,237. And again, that's assuming you have both Major Fracture, Minor Fracture, Infused Trogs, Crusher, and Alkosh all up at the same time. So this is like 100% uptime on all your debuffs, which is realistically not going to happen. Like even the best tanks in the game can only really manage like 85-90%. I haven't seen a boss parse, a raid parse, with 100% uptime on Alkosh. So that would be basically what you would be doing there. Yes, they're both medium. I might have a heavy Krogs actually. Let me see if I have a heavy Krog so it's better comparison. Here. I do have a heavy piece of Krogs. Then I just have to make a stam. So I can do Krogs now and take those points out of piercing and basically put them elsewhere. So basically then your CP setup would change. So your CP setup, you wouldn't need any more points into piercing with Krogs. So you take that out and then you can put them elsewhere. I'd probably put some into Master at Arms, for instance, maybe physical weapon experts. You could also keep a couple of points into piercing if you want to account for downtime on Alkosh, so that way you're not losing too much when Alkosh is not up. The downside, obviously, of putting points into piercing is then you end up over-penetrating when Alkosh is up. So you kind of want to balance that out a little bit. So here, maybe I'll take 4 out of here and do that. Again, this is not really optimized. This is just me kind of throwing CP points around. So this is what it would look like, and this is what it should parse like. Oops, I messed that up. So also the downside with running Krogs is you have to stay within melee range for the proc to hit. Versus Veladreth, where you can kind of back up a little bit, and you'd still be able to get your potentially get your Veli procs in. But with Krogs, you pretty much have to stay at melee range. And I mean, you're melee, so you shouldn't necessarily be out of range that many times, but there are going to be some bosses where you're going to be moving around a lot, and you might not be able to get every single proc off of Krogs. So I do think Krogs might be a good alternative if you don't want to put any points into piercing and you have a fully optimized raid group. It's really important to note that this would only be for like if you're running Infused Torx Crusher with tanks, I should say, that are able to keep good uptime on Alkosh. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. I did magsorcs about probably like about half an hour ago. So that was the first half of the video, was a lot of stuff on magsorcs. And yes, Celine's did get a pretty good buff because of the light attack, heavy attack scaling now. Celine's has always bowled pretty toe-to-toe with Veladreth, but I think with this, you might see a lot more people running Celine's now. Alright, so that's with Krog, so it's pretty much about the same, which is what we would expect, because basically we took the penetration from piercing, we used Krogs instead, and you know, we put a couple that freed up some CPs, but it's only maybe a couple of percentage points increase here and there. So that's pretty much what I expected. A little bit higher just because we're shifting some CP points around, but not like, you know, a 2k increase or anything like that. One piece Krog, one piece Veli, no proc. I personally wouldn't do that. It's kind of the same concept behind the magsorc. The proc itself is what makes the monster helm so powerful. So you still want to keep that proc going. So doing like one piece Krog and one piece Veladreth, you're giving up that proc. I don't think that'd end up doing very well. I could certainly try it though, so you guys can see. So it'd be one piece Krog, and then we'll one piece Veli. So it looks up like this, which would still allow you to run the warrior and have basically no points into piercing. But the downside is you are giving up that that proc, which is pretty strong. So I don't think this will be very good. But again, I can do a parse for you to just confirm, because a lot of things that sound bad on paper might actually be pretty decent in practice. So we'll go ahead and try that out. Which build, any race, surprised me the most on the PTS so far? Right now, I haven't really tested that much on the PTS. I've been kind of busy with schoolwork and stuff, kind of finalizing my graduation and getting the RA position all set up with my PhD program. So I don't really have that much time to play around the PTS. This is actually only my third day on the PTS, and the second day I'm actually able to play around with different classes. But for right now, magDKs have improved tremendously, so I think that is the most surprising thing. And it's not like the typical, because everyone was saying, oh, just use Burning Spellweave and Elfbane. You can actually pull pretty even DPS with Burning Spellweave and Silks of the Sun. So like, you don't have to go out and buy Elfbane if you already have Silks of the Sun. You can just do Silks of the Sun instead. And you don't have to like go PvP for Elfbane. You can just buy Silks of the Sun or farm it from Stonefalls. So this is the one piece Krog, one piece Veli that you suggested. So we'll see how much it does. So the metric to beat is pretty much going to be like 39k. Yeah, I forgot to mention that Stormfist is also a pretty good option too. Stormfist gives you that extra stam regen, so you'd be able to sustain a little bit better. Never discount how much of a DPS increase you can get from a little bit better sustain. Yeah, the PTS is a little bit laggy, mainly because, and this is something that ZOS has already admitted, they admitted that the PTS server is not quite as robust as their live server. so like the infrastructure is not quite as good. I have no idea what it means, like from a hardware perspective. But with so many people on the PTS compared to like, you know, for Dragon Bones or Horns of the Reach, it's probably what's causing some of that lag. Just all the people on the server taxing it. So I did miss one poison injection. I don't think that'll affect the parts too much though. Alright, so now we're in that bloodthirsty range. So we should see our DPS start spiking because of bloodthirsty. Alright, so that was 38, which is not terrible. It's still really good. But, you know, if you want to compare it to the 39, that's still like 1k lower, which isn't terrible. It's actually better than I expected. So you could, if you wanted to, do 1 Krog, 1 Veli. So for example, if you don't have your 2-piece Veli yet, you could just go 1 Krog, 1 Veli. So you can get your Veli shoulder from the chest, you can get your Krogs from Fungal Grotto, and then you have a pretty decent setup right there. But I mean, in that case, I think you might as well just go with 2-piece Krog and get that proc. But if you do, but again, like the whole idea behind Krog is that you have to be in melee range. So if you're going to a fight where you know you're not going to be able to stay in melee range, like let's say you're doing Asylum or you're doing like Hoff and you're running between bosses, then yeah, you might want to do like 1-piece Krog, 1-piece Veli. Yeah. Let's see. What other sets could I use? Ravager or Briarheart. That's the other one. I keep forgetting about Briarheart. I actually got to go pick that up. So we'll actually do. We'll give up Twice Fang and we'll do Briarheart instead. The problem with Briarheart and Mechanical Acuity is I don't know what weapons to put on the main hand. I'll probably just stick with Acuity on the main hand and have Briarheart on the armor piece. But yeah, I can't test Ravager because that's a PvP set. It's a pseudo PvP set, and so I'd have to actually go out to like Bruma or Vlast or something and actually like go buy like the random boxes and hope I get the pieces I need. And that would not make for terribly exciting footage. Just me riding my horse. Tank changes for Summerset. So I'm interested in seeing what's gonna happen. So one of the things that I'm interested in seeing, and I think is going to be interesting, is the new changes to Ash Cloud. So now that it heals you, I think that might be better than some tanks might end up using that for that constant heal. It also might make DK tanks a little bit better for like heal tanking now, because you can do like SPC and just have that going on your DPS. But the jewelry glyphs are what really interest me, because I kind of want to see whether like infused block cost is gonna really basically like completely undo the changes they made in Dragon Bones to block cost. But right now, I think the block cost glyphs are currently bugged with infused, so they're not working with infused right now. Unless it's meant that way. Who knows? It's sauce. Yes, if you are using Briarheart Acuity, you will have to use the Lover instead of Twice Fanged. So that's downside of that. You are giving up the Warrior in order to do this setup. Other tank changes. Silverleash now is a pull, so I'll show you guys once I log back into this tune. Upload LUIE my user settings. I can do that. I can put it into like a Google Drive and share that. I'm not sure if it's the I'm not sure if it's the LUI extended that you want or the Surrender that you want. Like if you want the, let me see if I can bring your picture up. So if you want something like this, and you know when I'm going over things, that would be for that would be my Shrendar settings that you would want, not my LUI extended. LUI extended would be this right here. Kind of the UI I moved around with Azura. Any group frames that you see on my streams and the boss frames are all LUI E. So if you want like this stuff, that's Shrendar. What was I doing? I was gonna wear Briar. Oops. No. What was it? I want that. So now we're going to go with 5 Briar. So Briarheart's going to be active at all times now, and then we're going to have Acuity active on our front bar, and that's going to be the proc set on our front bar here. Then I'll actually wear a full Monster Helm set now, so we'll do... we'll stick with Krugs. Why not? Yeah, we'll stick with Krugs. So we'll do the full Krugs Monster Helm set. And then we have to use the lever because we're losing twice Fang. Yeah, the bash glyphs right now are also broken with infused. Yeah. So one of the changes that I think is going to be very beneficial to non-DK Warden tanks is going to be the changes to this skill here, Silver Leash. So now Silver Leash pulls enemies to you. So it's basically going to be a class agnostic chains. So that's really nice. So now, you know, Sorc tanks, Nightblade tanks, Templar tanks, now you guys all have chains. The downside of this is Silver Leash uses stamina. So basically you're giving up stamina in order for a chain. And as we all know, you kind of want to maintain your stamina for blocking, dodge rolling if you have to, but mainly blocking. So I think this is a good change that now all classes have access to a chaining ability. But the fact that it costs 3k stamina is kind of a little bit of a Debbie Downer, I should say. I don't like the idea of using stamina for anything besides blocking and taunting and heroic slash. Because if you think about it, you already have to use your taunt every 15 seconds or so, 14 seconds really. You have to use heroic slash every 9 seconds for that minor heroism. I think it's 9 seconds, right? Yeah, every 9 seconds for the minor heroism. So that's that for your stam. And if you have to use anything else, like let's say you're doing like Viaha 4th boss, you have to do shielded assault. Although I guess you wouldn't be using chains in that fight, but that's at least that's my opinion. I think it's very good that they have now this, you know, class agnostic chain ability. I just wish that it used Magicka instead of stamina. That way Templar, Sorc, and Nightblade tanks would be a lot stronger in a lot better place. Sorc tanks in particular, because they have a hard CC with Rune Prison, I think, or it was something else. Maybe one of their abilities is a hard CC, so I can definitely see like Sorc tanks being pretty good, especially with the changes to bound armaments and bound Aegis. Now when you activate it, you block additional 20% damage for 3 seconds after you activate it. So if you can time that like right on a heavy attack, or like when the warrior is doing his channeled sweeps, that can be pretty strong for mitigation for a Sorc. So I can see Sorc tanks definitely being competing at least with Wardens and DKs. Probably not going to see many Sorc tanks running vet content, like vet trials, just because that stigma is already there around Sorc tanks. Plus, the idea behind the main drawback of Sorc tanks is that your main sustainability, Dark Deal, has a channel associated with it. So you have to drop block for about 1.5 seconds in order to use Dark Deal. So if you time it wrong, you're a dead tank. But I do think Sorc tanks are going to be pretty good. Nightblade tanks, potentially, if you want like super high ulti gen, it'd be pretty good. And then Templar tanks, I'm not sure where Templar tanks stand. they're still going to be really good heal tanks. I think if you want to do like 3 DPS, 1 tank, anything 4-man content, Templars definitely very good. Like if you want them to be like the off tank for AS hard mode, because I know like I think Sock Monkey did AS hard mode on a Templar tank. So, but I still think DKs are going to be the best in terms of tanking. The skills that they have, the passives they possess, still lend themselves to be the strongest tanks in the game, I think. Okay, so now let's get to testing. So again, this is 5 Briarheart, 5 Acuity, 2-piece Krogs. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's be honest, we all came here for the test. We didn't come here for the theory crafting. Although, maybe you guys did. The only thing I hate about using Briarheart is when the proc happens. The noise from the proc is really annoying. It's almost as bad as running Selene and hearing the bear like every, whatever the cooldown for Selene is, like 6 seconds or something. Well, I can already tell you guys that just based on the live DPS tracker, we're already doing much better. So we're like hovering right now around like 36k, and that's only going to go up as Poison Injection does its job and increases its ticks. And then once Bloodthirsty hits at 25%, we're going to see that DPS probably skyrocket. Alright, so now we're in Bloodthirsty, so we're going to get that insane DPS now. Oh no! So there we go, 40.2, so that's the best one of the night so far, on the stamDK. I actually don't know how Comet Metrics calculates Briarheart, because Briarheart only has, oh, that's not the right button. Briarheart only has a max uptime of 66%. So this basically makes it ineffective if you do 449 divided by, or times I should say, 66. So 450 times 0.66, it ends up being a little bit better than Hunding's, I think. So it also has that extra heal, which is really, really nice. So it's really good for your survivability as well. But yeah, that so far is the best so far, 40.2 solo parse. So we weren't using Twice Fang, so we were using the Lover. So in terms of like, oh, you're using the Lover, that's fine, because we would be using Twice Fang anyways. So Briarheart plus Acuity so far seems to be winning ahead of everything else. But you have to use the Lover, and this is with Krogs, by the way. So if we decide to now go with, do I have a Selene set that I could use, I wonder? Can I test Hunding instead of Briarheart? I certainly can. I don't know if I have Hundings made right now. I can't. I don't have inventory insight. So let's see. I have a belt of Hundings. I have a don't have a guards of Hundings. No. But Hundings would probably be pretty close to Briarheart, just because, just based on uptime of Briarheart, it just barely inches out above Hundings. So Hundings would be a lot more consistent than Briarheart, but you'd be losing out on the heal, which I think is what puts Briarheart a little bit above Hundings in my opinion. Because in a trial, you kind of want that additional survivability. Because a dead DPS, obviously, you're taking away from the group because somebody has to res you and things like that. But I can do Hundings. Actually, I'll stay on this tune. I don't know. Oh wait, I can just travel to. Nope. I actually want to stay in Aquaberry. I'll travel to Hakai's place. But yeah, so so the idea behind Hundings versus Briarheart is Hundings will give you a lot more consistent DPS when the Briarheart proc isn't on, but again, you're losing out on the heal. Heal per second of Briarheart. I think once I get out of the load screen, I'll show you what it is. I think it was like 690 or something like that, and I'm not sure if it's affected by like healing done or healing received. So it's 609 health every time you crit, and I'm pretty sure that's like 1 second. There's a 1 second cooldown on it. So hopefully I can use it. Nope, I can't. So one of the downsides of having to travel to a house is that sometimes you won't be able to use it. So I have to like port to my home again and then report back in. So the heal is only active while the Briarheart proc is active. So again, if you multiply 609 times 0.66, you get an effective heal per second of about 400 or so. So that's how much it would be healing you, so about 400 per second. And yes, you would get rid of the goddamn screeching noise that Briarheart has. I guess that is one plus of running Hundings instead. But I think I have to double check on the actual crafting station, but I think Hundings has different 2, 3, 4 piece bonuses compared to Briarheart, which might affect how DPS. But I think Briarheart is weapon damage, stam, and weapon crit, so it has 1 of each. And I think Hundings is double crit and 1 stam. Actually no, yeah. So Hundings is double crit and 1 stam. Hopefully I can actually use his crafting stations. No? Let's see if I can still use them. Nope, can't use them. Okay. In that case, we'll just go to the actual crafting station, which I believe is at Broken Arch. So yeah, I think Hundings is also 2 crit 1 stam. So the only thing that's different between Hundings and Briarheart would be that 5 piece bonus. I could be wrong, but yeah. So I think this will be the last test I do. It'll be Hundings and Acuity, and we'll compare it to the Briarheart parse. And then I'm gonna have to sign off and make food, because it's about dinner time for me. It's 7 o'clock. It's like 7:15. Yeah, I should go make food at some point. Oh, the watermarks are so much more visible now. Ew. Okay, yeah. If they're the same, then the only difference is going to be coming from the 5 piece. So let's do. So yeah, this will be the last test for the night, guys, and then I'm gonna sign off. We are doing, just so you guys know, we are going back to Vet Cloud Rest tonight with Mayflower. The goal is, now that we've seen all the mechanics, we'll basically... Oh, I didn't want to make that. Oops. Oh well. So the idea is, now that we've seen all the side boss mechanics, we'll be able to go through those a lot quicker. And so you guys will be able to see... you'll be able to see the... hopefully Zamaja's mechanics, and hopefully we'll be able to figure out the Zamaja mechanics. And if we manage to figure it out, then pretty much at that point we will know, you'll have a really good idea of what to expect from hard mode. Golden Vendor for this week. Let me see if it's up yet. I don't think it's up. I think it's. I think we still have 40 minutes until it comes up. If I'm doing my time calculation correctly, because I think it comes up at 8 p.m. My time. Best in slot by crit chance. I'm actually not sure. So the idea behind using Acuity is that you don't. I mean, you could go with higher crit because then it gives you more crits while Acuity is not procced, and it's basically going to be dependent on how much average crit is going to you're going to get from Acuity. So a lot of people recommend using Sword Axe instead of Dagger Axe, just because that basically improves artificially, I should say, the effectiveness of Acuity. And I mean that's fine. I'm gonna decon the helmet just because it's gonna bother me. And go port back to the host, make the enchant, and then do the parse. But stamDKs, your sustain shouldn't be that bad. My sustain is bad because I'm a dark elf. Because I like dark elves. If any of you guys have watched any of my streams and saw my character list, about I think 75% of my toons are dark elves. If you're a red guard, then you probably won't see the same level of sustain issues that I have. Plus, you have to remember that in a raid, you're also able to get you'll be able to get orbs from your healers, and with the changes to not Briarheart. With the changes to, what's it called, Hercines, potentially Hercines as well, you would get that 4% additional cost reduction to your stam abilities. Stam, Kuta, and I want 5 of these. Right. So that's kind of the idea behind keeping your crit low for Acuity. So let's put all our stam back. So this is a comparison between Hundings and versus the Briarheart parse. So the number to beat is about 40.2. And let's go ahead and grab our ulti, get our ulti back up. Just making sure I have enough poisons. And we'll still use Krags because that's what we use for the Briarheart parse, just to keep things consistent. Alright. And then, like I said, this will be the last parse because I have to go make food. Then I gotta get ready for the Cloud Rest raid. I think I'll bring my magDK again to Cloud Rest. It's because I had a lot of fun with it last time. Then potentially tomorrow I'll do another stream and do magplar because that's something I want to personally see how magplars are doing. And then I'm also going to revisit Stam Nightblades for Sophie, the GM of Hellfire, just to see what else other gear combinations are good for a Stam Nightblade. So, just judging from the live meter, it seems they're about the same. We'll see once we get under 50%, so the poison injection can actually start doing the execute damage. Because we were hovering around like 36k or so before Bloodthirsty kicked in. 4 years. So you were here for probably the closed beta then, right? Probably got your monkey. Oh no. My venomous claws did not go through. So let's see, 39.2. I'm not 100% sure, but this might be because that one of my venomous claws didn't go through all the way. So if you take a look at our weapon damage here, average was 3606. Just seeing if there's any sort of like explanation here. 4036 here. So well, that's interesting. Why did that happen? 5. Got Krogs, got the, yeah, so nothing really changed. Let's just look at our max actually. So our max here is 5k. Max here is 4815. So that's probably why we did a little bit worse here. Because having that extra weapon damage, because remember when the Briarheart does proc, it's a 449 increase to your weapon damage. So while Huntings will be a lot more consistent, when Briarheart is up, it's going to hit for a lot harder. And so I think that's pretty much overpowering it, because if you manage to get the Briarheart proc going at the same time as you got an Acuity proc going, that's going to be a lot stronger overall, because now you're critting everything. Your weapon damage is going to be a lot better. So your crits are going to end up hitting for a lot higher. So I think if you're going to be running Acuity, you're going to want to probably pair it with Briarheart, just because the proc is a lot stronger. With that weapon damage increase, it's a lot stronger. But Huntings is not bad either if you want to use Huntings instead. I mean, it's still pretty good. I mean, 39.2 is not something to laugh at either. So I would probably say use Briarheart if you can get it. But remember, don't run off and buy Briarheart just yet, please. We still need to wait, see what's happening, if they're going to nerf Bloodthirsty, if they're going to change anything else with the patch. So like, don't run off and buy things just based on what like I'm doing, or what Alcast is doing, or what other YouTubers are doing, or content creators are doing. You know, because again, this is the first week. We still have, I think, 4 weeks left until the Summerset officially launches. So just because it's working very well right now doesn't mean it's going to work very well 4 weeks down the line when Summerset is released on live. So that's something to keep in mind. That's always going to be my disclaimer. You know, this is still public test server, so we're still testing things out. There's still a lot of things broken, so we'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out. But for right now, for stamDK at least, it looks like Briarheart Acuity with Lover is actually pulling ahead by a small margin, but definitely noticeable. You know, 39 versus 40. That's in a raid that's gonna be much bigger disparity, because you're also gonna get like Warhorn buff. You're gonna have your major force buff from Warhorns. You'll have Minor Berserk. So that's something to keep in mind there. So all right. It's past my dinner time, so I'm gonna go make dinner right now. And I will be streaming again. Vet Cloud Rest with Mayflower. Hopefully we'll get to Zamaja and clear her. Him. I don't know if Slodes even have a sex. But so that's going to be starting at around 10 p.m. So hopefully I'll see you guys online for that. That's going to be happening in about 2.5 hours for those of you guys who are not on East Coast time. So in about 2.5 hours, that's when Vet Cloud Rest is going to be going on. So I will see you guys around. Hopefully I'll see you guys in 2.5 hours. Thanks for watching, guys.